But it's another thing I'd love to ask you about, Florentine, you lovely man with the lovely cheeky smile there. There's been a clip that's been going around from the Opie and Anthony world that's kind of getting not so much viral, but it's getting a lot of talk about, where you were in the room when it was the Jim Norton and Opie show, or the Opie and Jim Norton show, and the guy from Jackass, who's
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville, not Laurence Olivier. I'm just being funny. We'll save the laughter for afterwards. Johnny Knoxville came into the room, and there was like serious tension, and you could just see the Nortons like stern, like fighting eyes at Opie, and Opie's clearly uncomfortable in his chair, and there's all kinds of like just really, really bad vibes. And of course, you're sitting there looking sexy in some nice little t-shirt. I like the way you move. But for you, what was it like being a guest on the show, the Opie and Jim Norton show, knowing that there was so much tension on?
I didn't know that there was that much tension. I really didn't. I'm good friends with Jim. I know that he was bummed that Anthony got fired and Sirius didn't stick up for him and shit. And he's like, look, I still got to do the show. But I didn't, I saw that clip too. And it might have been something like right before, like at the commercial breaks, they always say, hey, can we bring this guest in? This guy wants to come on. How about this guy? And they discuss it. So it might have been something like Jim wanted somebody in and Opie's like, nah, we just had him. Let's wait a little while. That's always the case too. Like now they were just in. So maybe Jim was annoyed that whoever he asked for couldn't come in. Opie's like, let's wait a few months. That's what probably happened. When I looked at that clip, I said, I bet you that's what happened. It wasn't like some big fight, but it was probably, Norton wears his emotions on his sleeve. He can't fucking help it. So when he's annoyed, he can't fucking hide it.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yeah,
Jim, I think you're onto something there, and that's a great question from Hughezy, because I think Anthony might have brought it up recently. That's something that Opie might have done to try to needle people due to the fact that you were one of Jim's guys. Maybe he kept you in the green room for a little too long. You had been in for a couple hours waiting to jump on, and Opie would be like trying to be a little too over controlling of it, and Jim took offense to that, and that's where
that definitely wasn't it, because as soon as I was scheduled to come in, they would have me come in. I would, at that time, I think I was sitting in for the whole show, because they were actually had a rotating bunch of comics sit in, and Opie actually got us money to get paid from Sirius because they didn't have Anthony's. Opie went to bat. Like everyone gives Opie shit, but he went to bat for a lot of comics, and anyone that sat in for the day got paid, because Opie's like, hey, listen, you're saving on Anthony's salaries. We need a third guy in here, another funny comic. So pay these guys. So I was there from the beginning. He never made me wait or anything like that. Opie gets a lot of shit. Look, Opie was always nice to me, man. I got nothing bad to say. He made me, he helped, so when I stopped doing the Stern show, when the show changed to a different format, I went over to O&A, and Opie, had no problem having me on. And, I got a lot of the audience from the O&A people that they kind of knew me, but didn't know me as much. So I got nothing bad to say about Opie, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think that I'm always going to be an Opie fan, but the mistake he used to make was he would try to compete with guys like you and Patrice and Louis C.K. instead of just being the host and letting these guys do all the work and you get all the credit and the money. But he would try to compete with like Florent. Well, I just fucking said it. Don't know why I'm repeating myself. And I think that that's Opie's biggest problem back then and still today, is that he wants to be known as the funny guy. Maybe it's just the problem with people with that surname. They're unbearable dickheads. They're too tall. They have their penis out under the table while they're recording interviews with people. Like, they're just horrible, horrible people. It's a disgusting name.
I don't know. Look, when everyone's ripping in a room, everybody wants to contribute. Sometimes the lines aren't funny. So it's going around or busting Voss's balls about his t-shirt or something like that. So Opie's going to throw a line in too. Maybe it didn't hit, but there's a lot of lines when all the comics throw out that don't hit. They used to play that car crash sound effect.
Right.
So I don't know. Look, Opie was the mastermind behind that show. He put that whole show together. He kept that show, you know what I mean? He knew what moves to do, who to have on, all the stuff, what fucking shit to start, shit stirrers, all that stuff. So, and that show is one of the greatest radio shows in the history. So
I'm not going to sit here and hammer the Opie point, and it's good Opie needs people to go to bat for him. You know what I mean? So it's good to know that there is a good side to this guy. People want to demonize him all the time. But Jim, I do want to ask you, are you aware that there is a YouTube channel out there that has removed all the Opie parts out of old O&A episodes? It's called the Nopey episodes, and you can like listen to Opie-less O&A episodes, and people do that. I'm just curious. I'm not looking for you.
No, I never did. But so how do they do that? So if Opie asks someone,
people like, okay, it's one of these sick things where these people who don't like something end up putting so much of their personal time into trying to shit on them, and they actually edit it out every time Opie went in to jump in on something and recut the episodes. So someone spent like literally countless man hours or woman hours doing something like that because they quote unquote hate Opie, and the masses, the pests out there jump up all over something like that and love it. I think it's just kind of hilarious.
It's just weird, man, how these fans like turn on shows that they used to love, even with the Stern too. They just now they can't stand them and they hate them and this and that. It's like, whatever. I look at it like a band. Like if a band put 8 great records out in a row and then the last like 5 aren't good, I'm not going to hate them. I'm still going to listen to the fucking 8 great, just say they gave me 8 great records. Maybe they don't have it anymore, but I'm not going to be mad at them, turn on them. I'm like, all right, they're just not pumping out the same material like they used to. So I don't know. I never got that. Shows change, people change or whatever like that. But like, I look at it like a band, like, yeah, all right, they're not putting out the first fucking 7 were phenomenal. So I'm still going to like them.
Are you talking about Coldplay?
I don't even what they have, like 4 records out or something. I'm looking like even like a Def Leppard. Def Leppard, I like the first 4 or 5 records. The last 4, I don't care for, but I don't hate them because I don't like the new shit that they're putting out. I don't give a fuck.
Well, there's no need for foul language, but
hold on, wait, really quick. What about like the Grateful Dead? They put out all these albums. Nothing was commercially successful, and then they put out in the dark out in fucking late 80s, and they got Touch of Grey on their hands, and they're selling millions of copies, and they're the new greatest fucking rage. So maybe Opie still has a in the dark waiting to come.
Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Look, man, it's like a marriage. They were together 20 years, him and Anthony, and it's like, get on each other's nerves. You want to get back with your ex-wife, your ex-husband or some shit? No, you're like, all right, we're fucking done. They all made a lot of money, they made a fucking fortune doing it. So,
but I got a question for you, Jim, because you're sort of infamous for the fact that you don't really talk shit or get into feuds or argue with people. But for you, what's it like seeing O&A and the Jimster, as I like to call him, still fighting and trading shots with each other? Do you think they should just get the heck over it? Excuse me. Or do you think that it's actually kind of entertaining to keep twisting them nips?
No, I mean, whatever they want to do. I mean, if they keep coming at them, they got to come back. It's like parents, your parents got divorced. Like, I'm not going to take sides. I'm friends with all of them. I always been. Look, I was living with Jim Norton when Jim was, on Opie and Anthony, and I was on Howard Stern, and there was the feuding. It was the biggest feud in the world. They fucking hated each other. We were roommates. And we just stayed out of it. Jim's like, look, I got nothing against Stern. I'm like, I got nothing against O&A. That's not my fucking issue. So I don't give a fuck. I just do my own thing. I don't give a shit what anyone else is doing.
Was it just you two guys, or was there one more person in that apartment back then?
I had my ex-girlfriend living there at the time, but it was, just me, Jim. Yeah, but that was right when he got the seat in O&A, and I was going on Stern all the time, and it was like, and they hated each other, the shows. Couldn't stand each other.
Did you and Norton ever laugh about the fact that it was 2 Jims living together? Be like, hey, Jim, and laugh about it over breakfast?
No.
Oh, it's a shame, because that's really funny. You could be like, hey, why don't we go to the gym, Jim? And you'd be there for about half an hour.
Yeah, well, next time I see him, I'll tell him that. We probably should have done. We live together, and I'll see his response. Will probably be the same thing. The same response I just gave that.
Did you ever make him a lovely dinner?
No, but I used to leave logs in the toilet for him when he got up.
And he used to do it too. You should call him up and say, hey, let me make you some nice pasta and we'll watch Beverly Hills Cop 3.
he used to get up late in the afternoon because he'd be up till like 5, 6 in the morning. I would get up at like around 9 or 10, and I would leave him a nice fucking turd, and I'd stuff the toilet paper on the side so it didn't get in the way of the view, because you don't want to ruin the joke. You don't throw the toilet paper on top of the turd, then there's no joke. And it sticks to the side like glue, so it's fucking perfect.
You love your shits. It's a whole,
that's a weird way of showing affection. I leave him a log, he leaves me one.
Yeah.
Okay. I see it. I open the lid. I go, he still likes me.
Yeah. Well, if you think that farting and shitting is a sign of affection, you must think that the day after St. Patrick's Day is the most wonderful time of the year.
One of the most overrated holidays ever. Nobody gives a fuck about St. Patrick's Day. Same with Cinco de Mayo and all that other bullshit. But yeah, St. Patrick's Day, it's like, oh, you're gonna go out. Oh, you're gonna get drunk. Ooh.
Oh yeah, but it's also it's good. It's a good way for drug dealers, because sometimes you need to juice up to enhance your performance. But let's not go into that. But if you ever need any,
leave me out of this. Leave me out of this.
What are you talking about? For Seattle, Viagra?
No, talking about lovely big cocaine.
Oh.